All right, welcome everyone to today's Wednesday webinar. My name is Allison McWilliams, the Assistant Vice President for Mentoring and Alumni Personal and Career Development here at Wake Forest. Along with my colleagues Lauren Beam and Megan Hoyt, we support students, faculty, staff, and alumni as they build community, grow their networks, develop their careers. And this webinar series is just one of the many tools and resources we provide to do that work. And you can find all of those resources and information here on our websites and on social, and we invite you to connect with us there. Of housekeeping before we get started, we are recording this webinar and we will post it on our Learn with Life After Wake platform, which you can find at our alumni website. And you will all get a personal email with a recording link, as well as some bonus resources after we are done. You all are muted and your videos are turned off, which has been done intentionally. And we will be monitoring the chat box during the webinar. So if you have any issues or questions, please put them there. And we also invite you to introduce yourself there as well as we get started here. So today, we are so excited to be joined by our friend and colleague, Amy Willard, for part 2 of our Strategic Job Search webinar series. Amy is the Associate Director of our career coaching team with a bachelor's from NC State and a master's in counseling from here at Wake Forest. As someone who not only hired Amy many years ago to join our team, but also has had the pleasure of working with her and getting to know her on a personal level, I can tell you that you are in for a treat today as she walked us through the nuts and bolts of building your toolkit. And so with that, I will turn it over to Amy.
Thank you, Allison. So welcome and good afternoon, everyone. Again, Amy Willard here. So a career coach, associate director in the Office of Personal Career Development, where I work with undergraduates across disciplines to be career and life ready, whether that's selecting a major, exploring careers, creating and enhancing the internship and job search toolkit, pursuing graduate school, or simply just navigating all things career related. So I do have 19 years at the university, with 10 years in the OPCD and 9 years at Grayland Estate, where I was an accounting and HR assistant, and then the manager of promotions and activities. But prior to working at Wake, I taught Spanish, grades 3 through 12. I'm a national certified counselor with a Master of Arts in Counseling from Wake, and as Allison stated, Bachelor of Arts in Spanish from NC State. Don't hold that against me. And personally, you're probably wondering why I have a picture of myself running, but I've run my fair share of races, including a marathon and 2 30Ks depicted in this picture. So I share this because the job search is more like a marathon than a sprint. You've got to prepare for both, and it can be a lengthy process. It's important to be strategic and intentional, and this takes time. Preparing for a race, you need to set your target by selecting the race location and type, aligning with your skills and qualifications, what you can do. Though you can select a race with some additional skill sets required, as you can train for it. What will you do? For the weeks and possibly months leading up to the race, you build your race toolkit. You train spending hours and miles on the road. You develop a training plan to include a schedule, fuel for your body, rest, strength training, and you update and modify as you go and make improvements to increase your PR or chance to cross the finish line quicker than your competitors. You want your job search toolkit to do the same for you as you apply for jobs. Your finish line is landing the job. So where are we coming from and where are we going today, and where were you going? In May, Lauren presented on creating a job search target, including key roles, titles, industries, and locations. This is a key step in building your toolkit, and you need to set a target to know what you are applying for and how you're going to apply and where. Today is the second part of the 3-part series of the strategic job search, and I'm thrilled to be presenting on building your toolkit. Think about marketing and branding materials for your job search, such as your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile. My hope is that this session will set you up for the 3rd webinar, landing the job you want. Because without your job search toolkit, how are you going to apply to the opportunities and land the job you desire? So what are we going to talk about today? I'll be speaking specifically about the resume. Without it, you can't apply to jobs. And oftentimes you feel like you're submitting your resume into a black hole. We'll talk about how to make your resume break the surface to see some light. Then the cover letter, optional, required, depends on the organization. Do you have to write one when it's optional? Do they even read it anyway? And how do you make it stand out? More on that later. And finally, the LinkedIn profile, your online resume. Applying to jobs is the first step, but the strategic piece is to overlay the applications with networking. LinkedIn is an important tool to make personal connections with the organization. People hire people, not paper. Having a completed profile will give you the confidence you need to search for and connect with alums and be more visible to recruiters. Communication and messaging are key components to creating a compelling story by either aligning with or building a brand. You all have a unique personal brand, a reputation that you bring to organizations. And personal branding is the process of developing a mark that is created around your name and your career. You use this mark to express and communicate your skills, personality, and values. What is it that you want individuals to know about you and your brand? Your brand is the combination of how you see yourself and how others see you. You want to control that message and how it's communicated through your marketing collateral. You want it to be clear to the reader who you are, what skills and qualifications you have, how it aligns with what they are seeking in a candidate, and what value do you bring, your competitive advantage. So what is the narrative you want to communicate about yourself, skill sets, qualifications, and value? Let's explore how you can do this through 3 distinct job search tools and create a strategy to get ahead of the competition and make the recruiter pay attention. Sometimes a resume can be the only thing preventing you from landing an interview and moving forward in the process. Therefore, it's important to review your resume when you're not landing any callbacks. It is oftentimes the first thing an employer will see or review to learn more about you. You want to be sure it represents your brand, who you want them to know. Your skills, qualifications align with the job, and your motivation and willingness to do the job, can do and will do. Have you applied to jobs that seem to be going to a black hole? I thought so. Well, meet ATS, Applicant Tracking System, a system that organizations use to manage and track candidates. And you need to know how it works so you know how to navigate it for successful results. CNBC states more than 95% of Fortune 500 companies use ATS, with smaller organizations following suit. 75% of resumes are never read by a human. What does that mean? Only about 25% move on to the humans. What does that mean for you? Well, you need to craft an ATS-ready resume. How do you do that? Here are some key guidelines for crafting and submitting your ATS-friendly resume. The formatting matters. Contrary to popular belief, uploading a Word file, .doc or .docx is better than a PDF profile. Why? Most systems are still compatible with are not compatible with PDFs. ATS will read a PDF as one image. It may not be able to parse the information. So how it works is the system pulls in the files and sorts into data fields. It scans the fields, divides the resumes according to how they match the position. If the platform allows, you could upload the PDF as an additional document, just to make sure that you keep the formatting. Simplicity works best. Leave out the fluff. Blocks, colors, images, graphics are unreadable by systems. Though pretty and creative, this will be an automatic mismatch for the system. Also, don't use headers or footers. The system will not be able to read it. So keep all content, even your contact information, within the body of your resume. If you're applying to creative roles, you can keep your creative resume. This will be the one you can send to the human, not the AI bots. Use common titles. So you want to be sure to use titles such as education, professional experience, leadership experience, skills. You want to avoid about me if you have a summary section, my work, or projects for experiences. Be specific. If you're applying to a research position and you have research experience, you can have a research experience section. And always customize your keywords. Keywords are not only important for ATS, but also for recruiters to easily see the alignment with the position, increasing the odds of you moving forward in the process. Speak the organization's language. Use their words and industry jargon within your resume. You need to apply to the job. Yes, every single time. Do a comparative analysis between your resume and the job description. How does your resume align with the position? And there is no need to have a word in your resume multiple times. The system may flag this. Also, use the long form and the acronym version of a word, especially if they use the acronym in the job description, such as Key Performance Indicator, KPI, Click-Through Rate, CTR, or Bachelor of Arts, BA. If the position lists any credentials such as certificates or licenses, and you have those, you must include them on your resume. So here's a great exercise from LinkedIn Learning's Jenny Foss to identify the keywords. First, you want to print out the job description and get 3 different color highlighters or pens. You can also do this online if you want to. You're going to review the job description 3 times. The first time you will identify all the hard skills, such as Java, project management, P&L, highlight and underline those. With the second color highlighter or pen, comb the description for all the soft skills, such as curiosity, initiative, troubleshooting, and cross-functional collaboration. Highlight and underline those. Finally, with the last color, you'll highlight or underline the action verbs, such as analyze, collaborate, lead, develop. If you don't have a job description, you can use emails exchanged or notes from a conversation from the position with a recruiter or connection. You can also use LinkedIn to search for someone with the same or similar job title. What are their skills? How do they describe their job? Also, the LinkedIn Career Explorer tool that Lauren shared last month may be helpful in researching skills as well. This will help guide you in selecting the keywords and phrases you need to weave into your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn, which we'll discuss in a moment. And remember the humans. You don't want to leave it all to the bots. There's no gray area for ATS. A human can better decipher if your experience combined with your degree matches, even if they prefer someone with an advanced degree. Ultimately, a person will read your resume. So you need to balance how you write for ATS and the human. They make the connections between your education and experience and the job, as well as within the organization. Therefore, you have to overlay your application with networking. In some companies, the New York Times spoke with rate a recommendation from an existing employee so highly that such candidates are 10 times more likely to be hired. So follow up on your application, especially if it's been a week or 2 since the deadline or since you've received any information about it. This is something that many people do not do in the job search. Reach out to your connections or hiring manager if possible. Find an advocate, a sponsor who will elevate your resume. This could be the difference between your resume moving forward to the next round or not. And Cheryl will be speaking more to networking in the job search during the 3rd webinar in the series in July. So as you gather your application materials and review your resume, you may think to yourself about how your resume may fit ATS. Here are some kind of clever hacks and tools to double check your resume for ATS match and format before submitting your application. You can convert your file to a text file. It will determine whether your document complies with AI bots. It will allow you to see if the formatting looks disorganized. Did it rearrange sections, or if items were eliminated? Are you missing parts of your resume? The Word to text conversion is much cleaner than a PDF to text version, as you see here on the screen. See the difference between docx and a PDF file. This can be easily done in Word by selecting File in the top left corner of the screen, then clicking on Export. Selecting Change File Type and choosing Plain Text. A box will pop up like you see on the screen for you to review your document. For PDF, you just simply click on File and Save as Text, and it will create a text file that you can review as you see on the right-hand side of the screen. JobScan is a resource that you can use to compare your resume to the job description. It will tell you how you match up and can optimize to the position. How does it work? You upload your resume and the job description. The system scans them to detect how you stack up to the position. It'll give you a percentage match score and list where you need to make adjustments. You can also scan your cover letter and LinkedIn profile in the system. The free version allows about 5 scans, so you could save this resource for the jobs you want most. Additionally, I recommend watching the webinar Resume Revamp for specifics on revising your resume for optimum formatting and strong accomplishment statements for your experiences. The webinar is available on APCD's website under Learn with Life After Wake page. The second tool is the cover letter. This is your narrative to show, not tell, how your skills and qualifications align with the candidate the employer seeks for the position. You want to make it very easy for them to picture you in the role. Show how you've made impact in that role and how or what the results you've driven do to your leadership and skills. How did you add value? The letter is not the regurgitation of your resume. They have your resume. So how can you provide depth to an experience on your resume? And how did you increase engagement with social media followers? How did you create a solution to a problem where you took initiative? How was it implemented? I've known many individuals who've shared how they've improved a process and increased efficiency in how something was done in their organization, and the company implemented their idea. You can also share how you might solve a problem they may be experiencing by demonstrating how you might have done that in the past, or just share a creative idea you might have. And sometimes the cover letter is a space where you can share an experience that may not be on your resume, or explain why there may be a gap in employment, where you can show you've been productive, just not as an employee of an organization, but by volunteering your expertise and skills at a nonprofit. And don't forget the keywords. Like your resume, speak their language. Use the words they have within the job description. If the cover letter is required and submitted through ATS, it will scan and parse the data like your resume. You want it to find those matches between your cover letter and the job description. And like your resume, you'll want to upload it in a Word file. So follow the same rules I outlined earlier about the resume and keywords. Finally, if it's optional, do you have to write one? No one really wants to, and most people won't. And this is where the humans come in and will set you apart. And recruiters may not read them initially. In fact, according to Cultivated Culture, about 10% of recruiters will read the cover letters. But don't let that discourage you. They may use them to determine the best candidate between the two equal individuals. It is vital to be sure it's flawless and interesting. This is another data point that they can collect on you about your skills and qualifications for the job. You don't want them to remove you from an interview selection over one misspelled word or including the wrong organization name. Yikes. Show some personality. You want your letter to stand out and above the rest. If you look online for ideas, your letter may end up looking like everyone else's, and you don't want that. Start with a story about how you align with their values, services, products, the population they serve, or begin with an experience you may have had with their brand. And for more on cover letters, the APC provided a wonderful webinar on cover letters this spring called How to Write a Cover Letter That Actually Gets Results, featuring a Wake alum, Austin Belsack, founder of Cultivated Culture. So I recommend you to review it and for specific advice on how to write a compelling letter. Your resume and cover letter are your gateway to an interview, but to increase your chances of your resume and cover letter being viewed by a human, you need to combine your application efforts with making connections within the organization or organizations. Remember, people hire people, not paper. It is important to search for and connect with your personal network, allies, alums, individuals within the organization. One of the best ways to search for and make these connections is through LinkedIn. So your profile is your third tool in your toolkit for the strategic job search. Your profile is a great space to show your brand and personality in a professional manner. Like your resume and cover letter, your LinkedIn profile is part of your marketing collateral and a space to share your narrative for the skills, qualifications, and experiences you have aligned with the industry, organization, and position you seek. Recruiters may take mere seconds to glance over your profile. So focus your attention on the top sections. You want to weave in the keywords that recruiters will search for when looking for candidates to fill their roles. So here's 4 tips to sharpen your LinkedIn profile for your toolkit. Professional photo. So uploading a headshot, use a professional picture. It doesn't necessarily have to be professionally made, but you want it to look professional. Many camera phones take good pictures, even with blurred backgrounds. Great backdrops can be found in downtown areas or neighborhoods, such as a brick wall or mural. Avoid cropping yourself from a photo that I've shared here on the left side of the screen. Also, consider including a cover photo that represents your personality, industry of interest, and career path. A strong headline. You want to create a headline that you can either showcase your personality, career, or it could be inspirational driven. There are many different options, such as listing a job title and organization, using adjectives to describe strengths related to profession, personal, professional attributes. Many people elect to simply state the job title and organization. This is okay, but it doesn't say much about who they are and doesn't capture my attention. Here are some headline examples that either make a short statement about what they do or a combination of their role and who they are. This section is your opportunity to show your personality and drive your personal and professional narrative, your brief summary. How would you sum up who you are, your experiences, skills, accomplishments, and interests in maybe 3 to 4 brief paragraphs? The Muse provides an easy template to follow, which I'll share. Introduce yourself. Who are you as a professional? What do you do? What value do you bring to the organizations you work for? Highlight your skills, experiences, achievements in a paragraph form or bulleted list. Use keywords here to align with industries, organizations, and positions you seek. Who are you outside of work? This is optional, but you never know which of your interests might resonate with a recruiter, future employer, or professional connection. And a call to action. Ask the reader to connect with you to discuss growth marketing, contact you about a job or speaking opportunities, or do whatever you're currently looking to get from your LinkedIn profile. This is only a guide to put some structure to your summary. However, this section is personal. So use the first person and don't be afraid to talk about what really matters to you and your career. And finally, your experiences. So share your experiences and skills. You want your profile to be searchable and discoverable. What does this mean? Recruiters utilize LinkedIn to find candidates. If you want to be found, especially if you are on the job hunt, then you want your content to be discoverable. Once you're comfortable and confident with your revised resume, including weaving in the keywords and terms into your accomplishment statements, you want to upload those statements and revise your LinkedIn profile. Additionally, LinkedIn has a skills section, and you can list or select at least 5 skills that depict your strengths. Skills, qualifications, aligning with the positions, organizations, and industries you seek that align with your strengths. Be sure to use their language. And so if they seek a cross-functional collaborator, then list collaboration as a skill set if you possess that skill. And also your connections can endorse your skills. Finally, if you are seeking opportunities, let recruiters know on LinkedIn by turning on the option open to finding a new job or work. On your profile, there's a blue button labeled open to underneath the total number of your connections that you see on the left-hand side. You can set your preferences to job titles, locations, start date, job type, and who you want to know you're seeking. If you attended last month's webinar, Lauren walked you through the job target exercise that outlines these key areas. And I recommend digging deeper into building and customizing your profile. So I invite you to watch Leveraging LinkedIn, a past Wednesday webinar. Additionally, the Muse has a great article outlining specific ways to optimize your profile, which will be shared with you in a follow-up email. So your job search toolkit. AI is here to stay, and increasingly so for the job search process. Your toolkit is essential to you applying for and landing the interview for the position you want. And ATS is an important factor to remember when you are crafting and revising your tailored resume and cover letter for each position every time. It could be the only thing holding you back from getting through to the next step. And don't forget the humans. They are the ones who hire the people, not the AI bots. So optimize your LinkedIn profile to search for and connect with key people. So what do I do now? Review and update your marketing collateral, make those revisions and optimize your toolkit, tailor your documents to the position every single time, and remember the humans. Make those connections. There will be a follow-up email with links to resources mentioned in the session, along with additional resources to assist you with revising and optimizing your collateral. I am so thankful for the APCD for having me today and for the attendees for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. I did want to follow up with one question that was sent and share my answer, and you might have some additional thoughts on this, but sometimes, the application will specifically ask for a resume in PDF format. And what do you do at that point, considering the applicant tracking system? My response was that you send it. Like if they specifically ask for a PDF, you send a PDF. But this is also where the humans come into play, right? And so you always want to also try to find somebody that you can follow up with, ideally a hiring manager or a recruiter, but if not, a networking contact that you can forward your documents to as well. But do you have any other thoughts on that, Amy?
I agree with that. If they say specifically how they want to receive their documents and they say PDF, then that's what you would upload it as. And again, yes, reaching out to your networks. You have to tie in the people and your connections with that. I mean, it's like the job applications that you see and they say, do not call us or contact us.
Right.
The same thing, don't do it.
Right.
So just follow what they say that they need and want.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. We are so appreciative of all of this great content. And as Amy has noted, just a quick reminder, our third and final webinar in this strategic job search series will be July 21st. When another one of our colleagues, Cheryl Hicks, will pull all of these pieces together. So be sure to grab your spot for that if you haven't already. And if you want more, check out a few of the many opportunities to build your skills and to learn, including our Jumpstart Job Search Strategy Prep course, our 5 for Your First 5 online course. These are both open enrollment. You can join and go self-paced through these. And of course, you can find so much more at our Learn with Life After Wake and our larger alumni personal and career development site. With that, we are officially adjourned. So thanks to everyone for being here and hope you all have a great day.